chalk talk for Devontae White as well. So let's waste no time, man, and jump right into it and talk a little Matthew Golden. We put a poll question up here, both on YouTube and on X. All right. And the poll question is, who will have more receiving yards for the Packers this season, Matthew Golden or Jayden Reed? We also put that poll question up on X, so we will get you guys an updated number on that as well. And the reason I asked this is because there's been some differing information that's dropped in terms of the betting community, the gambling community, and I know Jacob talked about it a little bit earlier in the week, and just seeing a thing pop up today that came across the old AI bot here as we're just kind of combing through and looking at, hey, what are some of the talking points this time of year? And rookie standout first-round wide receiver Matthew Golden, the Packers. The first Packers receiver drafted in the first round since 2002, has dazzled at minicamp. You guys know Jordan Love was talking about how polished he looked. That's the exact word he used. I know Matt LaFleur was talking him up, but not as much as others. Romeo Dobbs had good things to say about him. It seems like everybody is noticing, wow, this kid, he's probably as prepared to play wide receiver day one as a Packers receiver has been in a long time. And it makes sense seeing that they haven't drafted a first rounder in such a long period of time. But said he dazzled at minicamp. Obviously, he ran that 4.3 40 that we all talked about. But the big thing was talking about how crisp his routes were. And many people talking about that. You know, we showed on tape strong hands. That was a big strength of his game. He attacks the football with his hands. He also has a unique ability to be able to time up the throws, even when Quinn Ewers is underthrowing him, right, at Texas. So we showed that. Love the story of how he kind of, you know, he started off a smaller school. He transfers over to Texas. Isaiah Bond comes over from Alabama. He's supposed to be the main go-to guy. And lo and behold, Matthew Golden emerges by the end of the year as the top go-to receiver there at Texas. So he's someone who is an ascending player coming into the league. But here's what I wanted to talk about. According to Grok and AI here, DraftKings projects him at 725.5 receiving yards. Now, those numbers may have changed. That's the numbers that they pulled here. If you guys want to check it on your favorite degenerate gambling site, go right ahead. But that was slightly above Jayden Reed's 700.5. All right. So just wanted to point out that, and there was also an ESPN report. I think it was on June 22nd. So I think it was today, as a matter of fact. It might have been yesterday. Golden's red zone chemistry with Jordan Love, talking about how that could be something that could really become a thing if they develop that red zone chemistry. His rise, questions Christian Watson's long-term role as Watson's 2024 injuries, where he just played 10 games in 2024, and his 2025 contract expiration loom. X-Chatter suggests Watson may be trade bait if Golden sustains his form. Now, listen, here's the thing. I don't want to see Watson traded, right? I don't want to see – I would much rather see Watson return. But the reason I want to point this out is why is it the gambling community – at least some of them have him projected to have more receiving yards than Jayden Reed, who Jayden Reed obviously led the Packers, I think, the last 2 years, right? So I want to get your all's take on it in the chat as well. You guys let us know in the comments if you're watching this later. Am I the only one that was taken back by that? Because when I see that, I go, hold up a minute. Jayden Reed has been the go-to guy in this offense, right? Passer rating when targeted through the roof, yak ability, all those things. He seems to be Jordan's safety net, right? His blanket underneath when the shot play isn't there. And the fact that Matthew Golden is projected to have more now, is it because he's going to play on the outside? You know, is that what it is? If that's the case, then I would push back a little bit and go, hold up a minute. Now, it seems like Matt LaFleur's offense runs through the slot. It runs through the F receiver, right? But I'm just curious to see what you all think on that. And I really can't wait to see the poll results here, because I would have voted for Jayden Reed. Right, that would have been my pick. I would have said Jayden Reed going to have more yards than Matthew Golden. But again, man, there's a reason that Vegas can afford those free drinks with pretty little umbrellas in them, right? They're usually on something when the numbers are skewed in one direction or another. H.E. Solder in the chat said, the Golden Reed poll begs the question, has football changed so much that the old rule of thumb that it takes 2 years to fully develop a receiver is now dead? You know, Solder, we've been hearing now for about – it seems like it goes back 5 to 10 years – that these 7-on-7 camps and everything, that these receivers are more equipped coming out of high school and especially in college to play receiver right off the bat, whether they're stepping right into college ball, they can jump right into a starting role, or coming from college to the pros, they're more equipped than they ever have been. Now, I would push back a little bit from a sense of, seems like Green Bay's a little more conservative in that regard, and maybe you guys disagree, but I hate to be that guy, but then again, look at what Jayden Reed did, right? I think he had tied or broke Sterling Sharp's rookie reception record. So that proved, hey, Matt LaFleur ain't afraid to dump him right into the offense and start to funnel him the ball, kind of like how you do Amon-Ra St. Brown in Detroit. Like, that's the high volume dude, obviously. So, I think we're to the point, Soder, where that's dead, right? Like, it's, hey, if they're a guy, if they're a dude, get them out there and start getting them the ball right off the bat. I believe that is the case, man. I really do. Chris the Casual in says, I don't see why they won't slow play Golden into his snaps like they've done for almost every rookie in years. Reed should have a couple hundred more receiving yards this season. See, that's how I went into this conversation thinking too, Chris. But like I just said, you think back, I mean, Reed really got the ball forced to him his rookie year. So I think it's going to come down to, too, how defenses play. And maybe that's why the numbers in the Vegas community is leaning towards Matthew Golden, because we've seen defenses really key in on Jayden Reed down the stretch and try to take him out of the offense. And that's why his targets went down tremendously, that along with the injury issues that he was facing. He ended up having a shoulder. He had an ankle that was bothering him there toward the end of the year. So, maybe that's the case too, that they're kind of projecting, hey, look, teams are going to continue to try to stop Jayden Reed. And I know we're not talking about tight end, but as we're having this conversation and thinking, okay, if defenses really do clamp down on Jayden Reed on those over routes, those climb routes, those digs and the dagger looks, all those things, right? When they do cheat motion him from the F or the slot outside and then bring him back on the deep dig with the dagger, if they're going to continue to hammer down on Jayden Reed, and we're sitting here saying Matthew Golden's projected to have more yardage in the gambling community, well, Tucker Kraft, I don't know what the over is on that. I wish Jacob was in here. We'd ask him. He's our gambling degenerate in here, obviously. But kind of feels like Tucker Kraft might be an over to hammer, because everybody's talking about Matthew Golden and Jayden Reed. Watch Tucker Kraft come out and just have an absolutely huge year. Drew D in the chat says, Golden looks that good. I'll tell you, man, Drew, hearing the reports out of camp, and I try not to buy into this stuff too much, but when you hear players bragging on specific players like they were Matthew Golden, I'm with you, man. It does seem like he's as advertised, at least up to this point. Now, here's the big thing. He's got to stay healthy, right? There's two big things in terms of a rookie contributing and putting up decent numbers. You've got to stay healthy, and you've got to be able to absorb that playbook, right? You got to understand the choice routes. Like, if they're going to mix and match him and Jayden Reed from the Z to the F, if you're going to play F, you got to know every choice route on the damn field, because at any point, any particular time, you might get a hand signal, you might get a tap of the cap, and they may shift over. Jordan might make a check at the line. Now they're going to shift him to the other side of the field, him being the F, whether it's Jayden Reed or Matthew Golden. In this case, Matthew Golden. He's got to know the choice aspect, because there's choice routes all over this Matt LaFleur offense. So much so that we can't even – all we can do is show you the end result of the play when it comes to chalk talk and the receiver play, right? There's no way of being able to understand exactly what choice routes were supposed to be ran or what wasn't. That's why it's important to listen to the press conferences and hear Matt LaFleur, Coach LaFleur, talk about these things and going, yeah, well, he ran the wrong route. Well, he's supposed to take that at 8 yards instead of 13, or he's supposed to take it to 15 instead of 7. All those things. It's that much of a detailitis within Matt LaFleur's offense, and that's why sometimes rookies are slow to the punch coming out in terms of contributing right off the bat. So let's go to the poll question and see who ended up winning that. And I have a feeling I think I would know who was going to win it here. Looks like on YouTube, 70% Jayden Reed, 30% Matthew Golden. All right, so they're saying Jayden Reed over Matthew Golden 70-30. And then when we go to the Twitter poll, it's a little bit closer on Twitter. Jayden Reed 59.5%. And Matthew Golden 40.5 is the way that shook out. So unanimously, everybody's saying Jayden Reed will have more yards than Matthew Golden. The fact that Matthew Golden's projected with more yards coming out of the gate, might want to hammer that over on Jayden Reed. And I think we all feel comfortable saying he is healthy going into this year for sure. So there you go, little Matthew Golden talk again. Just wanted to touch on that real quick. because I thought that was interesting that those numbers came down the pocket. And you guys, I got good feedback on the video we posted earlier today. I'm going to try to do that regularly, maybe once or twice a week, just give you guys a rapid fire. Here's the news from the Green Bay Packers this week, a little 10-minute video where you can just, whether it's in podcast form, download it, get the info you need right off the bat. Here's the must-know information for the Green Bay Packers on the week, and no opinions, no here's what I think it is, here's what I think it isn't, just here's what happened, bang, 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 bang. So we're going to continue to put those videos out for you guys and gals. And